welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. We have a very special guest this month. This month, we've been focusing our content on philanthropy. And to do this, I felt like the best person in the whole wide world would be Julie Wilson, who is the president of Women Doing Well. Women Doing Well is near and dear to both Emily and I's hearts. We have uh, really, this is a group of women who has supported me through all sorts of different seasons. But what I love is just the shared heart for giving. And I don't want to say anything else, Julie, because your story is such a good one. So just tell us all about you, your journey to Women Doing Well, and then just kind of share the vision, mission, values of Women Doing Well.
Lauren, it's so good to be with you. I just love you. Since the day I met you, you are maybe one of those people that I would describe as a generosity junkie. We met at, I think it was at your initiative. You had heard that you were interested in Women Doing Well. And so we had breakfast, and just the light blew up in your face when you heard what we were doing. And ever since, you've just been the most incredible fan. And I think it's because God is doing some really cool things with women right now in the world. Like, it's unbelievable. And we're just riding that wave. We're 10 years old. We were started by 4 friends who saw the growing influence and affluence of women back in 2010. They got really curious. That led them to say, well, let's look and see what the research says about women in giving. And they went to look for the research, and guess what? Never in the history had there been a faith-based research study on women in giving. And so they thought, well, let's start there. Let's survey Christian women and find out what it is that they care about. So they worked with Sagamore Institute, Baylor University, hired Amy Sherman out of Charlottesville to conduct the study. And essentially, they all said, if you can get 300 women to fill out this survey, it'll be statistically sound. When they closed it out 6 weeks later, they had 7,336 women fill out a 30-minute survey on both their financial views as well as their views on generosity and giving. And it's still to date the largest research study on women in giving, which we really celebrate that we now have the keys to what women need. Because basically, Women Doing Well is a response to the research, which said 3 main things will light up a woman. And this is what I think you got lit up about when we were together. To know your unique purpose, like, why am I in the world, like me specifically, to know what passions you have in the season of life you're in. We all know that women have many seasons. And when you have little kids at home, you have less time. Maybe you can write bigger checks, but you got less time. And then when you're an empty nester, you're paying for college, so maybe you have less money and more time. Like, it's just a really unique thing that women have seasons, and we have more or less to give of our resources based on the season. So knowing your passion in the season you're in, and then having a plan, which is why I love your firm, because you help women and men get really good with their money and do good things with their money. And so we really celebrate different organizations that help women be smart about their money as well as generous with their money. So our mission is to activate women of influence to live lives shaped by God's generosity. We do that through a pathway for women based on the research that uncovers their purpose, lets them discover their passion in the season, and then gives them tools about planning and encouragement to just go take a step. Just do something, do anything, whatever God puts on your heart. It could be have a conversation with somebody. It could be change financial advisors. It could be open a donor advised fund. It could be start a ministry. It could be write a book. I mean, there's so many stories that we've heard. It's incredible. But when women have community and connection and they have permission, just look out, world, because it really changes things. So that's a little bit what we're doing.
Julie, I had the honor of with Lauren going through the 2 half-day curriculum where we went through the exercises to figure out our purpose, our passion, and our plan. And I think about that probably more than like what I learned during that short period of time, more than any other thing I've ever done about giving. I mean, And I think what I love about it is it helps me identify like where I wanted to give and then like focus on that. So, I love the exercise where you kind of explained in the curriculum that, let's just say my purpose, or my passion is like teaching women. If somebody is raising money for, the restaurant world, okay, well, that's not in and so I can just like have a great confident conversation with them to say, you know what, I love what you're doing, but right now I'm focusing on this part of, of giving this year. And I think as women, I think I do get nickeled and dimed all the time with small requests, and I want to be able to give to them, but I didn't have the words to figure out like how do I really concentrate my giving in one place. But I just felt like that was so helpful. And so anyway, thank you for that.
Oh, I love that you said that. I mean, honestly, some women, that's their thank you to us, is thank you for helping me say a good no, because women really do want to give. We are naturally wired for generosity, and all the research is saying so. Women are just more generous by nature. And National Christian Foundation just did a study, and 45% of women are actually in charge of making the giving decisions in their household, compared to 38% of men. And Christian women are 300 times more generous than women who don't have a faith. And they're 400 times more generous with their time. So it's really important that women feel confident in the things that they are saying yes to, and confident to say no, because there are some really great things that I say no to. Because I just know from my experience at Women Doing Well, my 2-word purpose is cultivating change. And most of the time in my experience at church, they have a lot of staff. So what they want you to do is what I call steady state things. They want you to be a greeter. They want you to work in the nursery. They want you to do communion every Sunday, right? Like, it's very repetitive behaviors. I'm always good the first time I do it. And then I just want to talk to the person next to me and go really deep, because my reason for being in this world is to help people make the change that they want to change in their life. And that takes a conversation. And if I'm like greeting people, people are passing me by and I'm locked into one person. And so I've learned to say, thank you for asking me. That isn't the best use of like how I am, but let me tell you, you should talk to these 2 people. They're really good at that. And then when you have a project that needs some energy because it's either new or you're trying to change it, I will work for you for hours and thank you. So those are the things that you want to tap me for. And then people that listen have gotten a lot out of me, because if you give me something in the change realm, I mean, my husband's like, are you coming to bed? I'm like, no, I'm finishing this. It's so much fun. Sorry. So, I mean, I think it's just like you said, just a great tool.
It really is. And I think that 2-word purpose statement. So, and Women Doing Well does everything just for free. Like, they just want to get this information in the hands of women to empower them to, on their own generosity journey, which is just so generous in and of itself. But I think one of the things you do, and now I'm trained as a facilitator for Women Doing Well. So we're going to do this course for members of the Wealth Edit in the early spring. But what's so interesting is, like, once you have that information, like, you really tap into who am I? Like, what are these 2 words? How do they define not only your generosity journey, but like who you are as a person? I mean, it can help you in work. It can help you in, on committees, like Julie was saying, where you're committing your time, because if you're doing something that is less than, like, it's just not congruent with your highest and best use, you're taking someone else's highest and best use away from them, because they could be doing that like happily, so excited. I said one of my quirky things is like, I love to organize things. And it's like, I would be totally happy. I always tell committees, I'm like, either put me in charge of like organizing box tops, or put me in charge of like the whole thing. But if I don't know where I'm supposed to sit, then it's like there'll be anarchy and it will be my fault. It's just like, you have to kind of know yourself where you can kind of sit in all of this. And anyway, it's just so powerful to have that information. And I think, the same is true. I think I love this because that's what we're trying to tell women to do with their money too, is like, hey, we don't care what you do with your money. We care that you know what you want to do with your money, because then all those other things fade into the background. And usually a large part, once women go through that discernment process, is to really think about giving. And I think, so Emily and I have the Wealth Edit, and that's our company. And then we also have Somerset, which is our financial advisory firm. And I am always shocked at how little people know about how generous the tax code is to those who are generous. I mean, Emily and I were in a meeting today, and I was like, I forget that people don't know this, like, never write a check. Like, if you can possibly stand it, just don't write a check. Write out of, appreciated stock, just for an example. There's just so many tools and arrows in our quiver. If you are philanthropically minded, that it's just fun for us. Like, and it's kind of like what you were saying, like, I could do this all day because it's just so much fun.
So great. And this is one thing, we need a team of people around us as women. I would suggest, my friend calls them a wisdom circle. You need the people who are wise. And when we talk about generosity, it's so much more than money. Philanthropy is money, right? In general, that's what that word means. And I love it. I think it's National Philanthropy Day. It was either yesterday or today. I can't remember, but it's like, our country is one of the most generous countries because of our tax code and because of our roots of wanting to be generous and welcome people, hospitality. I mean, it's in our country's DNA, but it's also in us as humans' DNA, because God's generous. For God so loved, he gave. I never saw that word gave. God is a giver. He's generous. And so when we are generous or learn how to be more generous, we are being like him. And so I just think it's almost like people are missing out on the fun. And I never thought of giving as fun. I thought of it as like, I thought I was a pretty good girl in the church because I tithed. I was like, ooh, I tithe, check the box. And then I learned that generosity is like, you're all in, your time, your money, your expertise, your education, your smiles. I mean, sometimes when you're just having a bad day, it's generous to not scowl at your family, but to smile at them. That can actually be a generous act. Or paying for the coffee of the guy behind you in the Starbucks line. There's so many ways. And when you do, science is now showing, when you do a giving act of any type, the same part of your brain that reacts to heroin lights up with generosity. It is literally a drug. And right there in scripture, it says, Jesus says, it is better to give than to receive. It's more blessed is how it says, to give than to receive. And the word blessed, this is my favorite. It means happy making. So blessed is such like it's a blessed day. That's so religious, but translated, blessed is happy making. It is more happy making. So God wants us to be happy. And he tells us the way to that happiness is to be open-handed with all that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And our curriculum does address the financial aspect, but we also honor the time aspect. We honor the expertise, because not everybody has money or has as much money to give. And that's okay. We all have something to give. And it's just a matter, will we step into the adventure with God to offer what we have to the world?
Mm-hmm. Julie, I love that you say that, because Lauren and I had a meeting today with some clients, and we just, I was asking them about giving. They're new clients. And so we're still getting to know them and what they're doing. And they were, they gave us an answer. And then as we went through it, there were a couple of different aspects of their plan that really, it would be very beneficial for them to give.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were some things, and I mean, they lit up as a couple. I mean, they were so excited. And then as they were walking out the door, they were like, can you believe that we can do that? I mean, and it did. It was happy making. They left the meeting like happy because they felt like we have an opportunity to be generous, and we didn't realize that we could do that. And another thing that I see, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this, just because as a single woman, I have found that like learning how to give without a spouse, being a part of it, has been a part of my journey. Like how to think that through. And we get a lot of questions from women about that. How do y'all address that issue in your curriculum? Have y'all broach that topic?
We have single women, divorced women, widowed women, married women who make the money, married women who are married to the money. We have ages 24 to 84. It's incredibly diverse. And what we find is that it's the same for all of us. We all have the same need to process what we have and how to get it moving in the world. And I would just say what I'm really excited about is I don't think there's lots of places for women that are without a spouse for various reasons, by choice, by death, whatever, to actually have community, because people are so afraid of that state that they don't really want to hurt them, and so they just don't do anything. And we go, come on in. Nobody cares. We just want to serve. And then you have I think giving is better together. So I think that women are 2 times as collaborative as men. We don't like to give alone. So if you're a single woman, for whatever reason, that's a hard cross to bear, if you will. But you can get together with other women. And like, I'm sure you and Lauren are doing this in your company. You're giving through your company and you're able to activate that giving with friends. And so I just tell every woman, just whatever you do, don't do it alone. Find some other people. My husband and I love to give together, but he doesn't love the same things I love. So I'm trying to start a giving circle here in Richmond around education. I'm having a little trouble finding my tribe, but I'm going to just keep praying and asking and praying. And at some point, I promise you, I've seen this happen. It'll just click and it'll be like, boop, 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 boop. And but I'm like ahead of it. Usually I see it before it actually is supposed to happen. And I was telling my husband about it. He went like, why don't you just do that with the girls? Like you find, he's like, I'm not sure that's for me, which is great, right? Like we don't have to do everything together. So I think just cultivate those relationships where with others, you're able to give and enjoy the happiness that it brings. Yeah. So you're not just alone with the happiness.
Can you share with our listeners about a giving circle? Because I love that concept and it is so true. It's so fun to do it together.
So we have had quite a few giving circles, as that's the activation that the women want to do after the retreat or after being together in the Pathway group. And so essentially, you can do it a few ways. The easiest administratively is to open a donor advised fund. And we always recommend National Christian Foundation because they have been around a really long time and they also really celebrate this. And then you essentially gather some friends, you pick a number that everybody has to give. It could be 500, 1,000. I recently was with a group that was like, let's just set a goal that together we want to give 1 million. I love that. I'm like, don't put a cap on it. Let people just see God work. So what you do is say, let's just say the number is 1,000 and you have 100 women. You're giving away 100,000 to some local ministries. And then collectively you create a system for how do we decide each year who to give the money to? Are we giving it 50,000 to 2, 100,000 to 1, 25,000 to 4? And the creativity is outrageous of what's happening. And what I love at Women Doing Well is we let women talk about it and share their ideas, and then they borrow each other's ideas. So it's this concept of giving together to maximize and give more. So you can really make a dent and also learn about a whole area of giving. Like education was a new area for me when I had my daughter. I just knew nothing about, I went to public school. It was great. I turned out fine. But nowadays there's homeschool, there's private school, there's public school, there's special schools, the art schools within the public schools. It's incredible, all the choices. And I just thought, what do people without resources do for their kids? And I learned that there's significant numbers of homeless families sending their children to public school, but they live in a car or they live on someone's couch. And I'm just beside myself about it. I'm like, wait, what? Like I could barely get through math with a dining room table and a parent who loved me and tried to help me. What does a child do when they're living on their aunt's sofa or in their car? Like they can't possibly learn. And so I've just gotten really curious about how a group of us might help. So to be continued, because I still haven't. I just started supporting a school that's alternative for those who have less, just because I wanted to do something. But I'd like to do more, and I need more people to join me. So that would just be an example. But there's a woman up in Chicago who's been part of Women Doing Well. Her name is Carolyn Dunn, and she started something called Community Purse. And she has a whole format. So if anybody from Women Doing Well wants it, I can give you, anyone from your community wants it, she shares her information with anybody. And it's really all the hard work of starting a giving circle. And it's not that hard.
Sorry, I was thinking Laura was about to say something. So one of the things that I was thinking about is, what does it look like to join Women Doing Well? So what's the first step that somebody needs to take in order to engage with Women Well?
So the easiest thing to do is right on our website, up at the top corner, it says start the pathway. The pathway is not scary. As Lauren mentioned, it's completely free. And that's intentional, because when you talk about generosity, it's really hard to be honest if you think somebody's going to come and need something from you. So all of our facilitators are trained to really keep it safe. We don't ask for anything, and we don't expect anybody going through the class to pitch anything. So it's really a safe place. And you're not committing to the whole pathway. You're just committing to the first step, which is Ignite. And you can do that in a one-day retreat, which is 6 hours, or online, 1 hour a week. And when you go to the website, if you don't see a class that fits your schedule, there's a form, and you just tell us, I prefer Mondays at noon. And as soon as we have enough women, Monday at noon, we assign a facilitator and the class starts. So that's the easiest way.
Okay. And then what's step 2 after Ignite?
So the 3-step pathway is Ignite, then Grow, and then Activate. So you ignite to who you are and what you have. The first phase of the pathway is really about your purpose mainly, and we introduce passion and plan. The second phase is Grow, which is really about identity. As you get into who you are, stuff just surfaces about, like, am I enough? Like, who am I to think I have something to give? Like, I've had this dream to write a book, but who am I? Like, there's all this stuff. Or I work all the time. I don't have anything to give. I just write checks. Like, I'm not giving my time. And you just start to wrestle that out with your group. And it's really beautiful. It's all led through teaching and story and conversation. Not a lot of homework, but some fun pen to paper exercises. So that's Grow. And then Activate is really a very personal experience where we're taking you through exercises to start to put your plan together about what you want to do. And then you're done, and there really isn't anything to join. About 80% of women who go through the pathway activate outside of Women Doing Well. We may never see them again or even know what they're doing, but we know from the research studies that we do after the pathway that 88% are giving more financially. 69% are giving more on purpose time. It's just incredible, the life change that happens. And we just think that's what we're here to do, is just launch you. So we're like a boot camp around who you are, what you have, and how to get it working. And then 20% choose to activate with us. Lauren literally came across the table, was like, how do I get involved? I was like, there's really nothing to get involved with. She goes, yes, you talked about this community. And we do have leadership communities and a patron community that you can join if this is your passion. So we really want women that share our passion for generosity and women to join, so we can model the get to giving and the get to leadership. It's just super fun. So that's kind of how it works.
Well, and I could add, just for those that are listening, all the content, one of the things that I noticed immediately about Women Doing Well is that everything is done so well. I mean, it's so professional. Everything looks beautiful. It's clear. The steps are easy to follow. So, I would highly recommend going through that. And we've gotten to watch some of the videos and be a part of some of that. And just with Lauren, I've gotten to see behind the scenes on a lot of things too. And I just am always just blown away by how well everything is done, which I know with Women Doing Well, that makes it. But I'm like, gosh, everything really is done well. And just all the women that are involved. What part of my story about becoming a financial advisor is when I was an attorney and practiced law for a while, and then, almost 15 years, and then lost my husband and took a few years off and was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And so somebody had recommended that I consider being an advisor, just because I loved talking to women about getting back on their feet and things like that. And so I went to my dad and I said, Dad, what do you think about this? He's an advisor with Ronald Blue, which is associated with NCF, but he had met Pam Pugh through work. And he said, well, all I can say is if you think you want to be an advisor, there's only one woman right now that I can think of that you must talk to, and it's Pam. And so she was the first person. I just called her, and I mean, she had no idea who I was, but just the generosity of time that she gave. And, you know, Pam, for those that are listening, has been involved with Women Doing Well from the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's a
and-
founder. She's
Yeah.
and she really has had that conversation. She's so generous. With her.
yeah.
Like she's just an incredibly inspirational leader in how she was just for me, she was just such a huge encouragement to just step into who God's made you. Don't be afraid if you don't fit the box.
Yeah.
Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And so I just like encourage women to like check out Women Doing Well, see all that they're doing. It is just transformative, and every single person that's involved is there, is committed, and like you said, they're generous with their time and their advice. And so it's just such a wonderful organization. And I know Lauren and I just want and tell so many people about it all the time. So thank you so much for being here and for being on our podcast.
Yeah.
And so if people want to get involved, is it womendoingwell.org?
Womendoingwell.org. That's right. We're also on
.org.
Instagram. So if you want to check us out on Instagram, we have a lot of great fun content, and really, really love how God's just bringing women from all different places. So Instagram, Facebook, our website, through Wealth Edit, you can find us. I mean, just whatever you do, if you have a sense that you are curious, just check it out, because it really is worth your time.
Oh, well, thank you
And
so
I'll
much.
say
for
too,
being-
just, yeah, encouragement.
Mhm.
I would say if you feel a stirring, you know, you kind of want to explore generosity, then schedule office hours with Emily and I. It's like our favorite subject. So you can do that. We would love to talk to you, and we can connect you with the resources that we've come up with over the years. And anyway, Julie, we're just so grateful to have you here. It just has been so fun. And anyway, thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I just love what you all are doing, and the Wealth Edit's one of my favorite resources because it's so beautiful. Like, we love beautiful things. So you guys have done it
Yeah.
so well.
Well, thank you. And we always end our call by asking, and you've kind of just answered, but why did you say yes to the Wealth Edit?
I said yes to the Wealth Edit because I really believe that women need tools that are designed for them. And when I opened that book, I thought, they get it. They get it. They get it. It's not dumbed down. It's just beautiful. And so it's just such a joy to connect women to the Wealth Edit.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
thank you, Julie.
Everybody have a wonderful week and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.